Have you ever seen the cutest dog but didn't quite know how to pet them? Well, that's okay, fear not, because today I'm going to be going over how to pet a dog. From countless years at the Humane Society, owning 5 dogs, and personal research, I've learned that there are tips and methods to petting dogs that a lot of people may not know about. In fact, before all of these experiences and the research, I thought that petting dogs was just a common sense process, and I just went in there with all of my emotions. But there are actually some methods and tips that can make the experience better for both yourself and for the dog. So, first, when petting a dog, you want to establish trust and comfortability. Second, you can move to places like their neck, chest, and chin. And then, thirdly, you can move to more threatening places like their head, back, and ears. So, the first step in the process is establishing trust or comfortability with the dog. This is probably the most important step in the process because if they don't have trust with you, it's probably not going to go well when you try to reach out and pet them. So, the first step in establishing trust with the dog is to crouch down and bend sideways toward a dog. This may seem different from bending down from the waist, and it's an extra step, but according to Megan Heron from Ohio State University Veterinary Medical Center, bending down from the waist can make a dog feel like you're trying to dominate them, and that is not a nice feeling to dogs. Secondly, once you are crouched down and bent sideways toward the dog, you can reach the back of your hand out toward the dog like this. Don't reach the front of your hand out, because if you have the front of your hand out, the dog might feel that you're trying to grab them. But if you have the back of your hand out, the dog knows that it's not possible for you to grab them. Then, once you have the back of your hand extended to them, allow the dog to sniff you thoroughly. Once they have sniffed you thoroughly, you can look for their body language and see if they are comfortable with you. The most apparent form of their comfortability is if they're leaning in and wagging their tail. They could be wagging their tail and not be leaning in, and this could be a sign of hesitancy, which you might want to take into account if you are trying to pet them, especially if they have the hairs on the back of their neck raised. If they have their tails crouched between their back 2 legs or they're not wagging it at all, it might not be a good sign. You might not want to pet them just for the safety of yourself and for the dog. So once you've established comfortability and seen that the dog trusts you and is ready to be pet, you can pet places first like their chin, chest, and neck. We start with these places because if you reach out to their head or their back automatically, you're covering their eyes for a second, which can feel a little bit scary to them or frightening to them because they don't know what's going on. So start in those places, get a good petting session on there, and once you feel that they are very comfortable with you, if they're wagging their tail, if they're leaning into you more, if they're into the session, then you can move to places like their ears, their head, and their back, which are behind their fields of vision, and could be a little bit more threatening to start off with, but you can move to them once they have become extremely comfortable with you. So, another tip is that if they do, after you're petting like their head, their back, and those places, if they turn over onto their belly, it might not necessarily mean that they want you to rub their belly. It might actually mean that they want space. And this is something new that I learned from my research. I thought that this always meant that they were ready for the belly rubs, but it actually means that they might want some space. So again, read their body language. This is the best thing to do when petting a dog. And if it looks like they're a little bit tired of the petting, you can back off for a little, give them some space, and wait for them to approach you again. So these are the 3 steps to properly petting a dog. I wanted to give you a visual representation as well with my stuffed dog, Mika. My real husky at home is named Mika, but unfortunately I couldn't have her here because she's in Yuma and I'm in Tucson. So, again, you want to crouch down, bend sideways toward the dog, and then extend the back of your hand out, let them sniff it, and if they're wagging their tail, leaning into you, that probably means that they are comfortable with you. So you can start petting their chest, their chin, their neck, the sides of their neck, and then if they're enjoying it, you can go to their ears, their head, and then their back. And so, as you can tell, the dog's enjoying it, and I'm happy too. So that was a good petting session. And so if you use these tips, I can guarantee that the session will go a little bit smoother than if you just jumped right in and made the dog feel scared or uncomfortable. So I hope that you've been able to learn how to or pick up some tips and methods for petting a dog that you may not have known before. Hopefully you feel like a professional dog petter now. So remember always to establish comfortability and trust first. Then to start with places that are less threatening like the neck, the chin, and the chest. And then finally to move to places like the head, back, and ears. Studies have actually shown that petting dogs lowers blood pressure. So go out there and pet some dogs. Have fun, be happy, lower your blood pressure. Thank you.